My name is Socrates, and you are watching Socket TV. Tonight, I want us to look at an aspect of English language, that is grammar. Precisely, we are going to look at verbs. This is one of the thematic areas in language that many people have difficulty, because when it comes to the spoken language, you realize that a lot of people, they just use the language anyhow, what we refer to as language jabberwocky. Precisely, when we are talking about verbs, we are trying to say that when it comes to definitions, verbs can be referred to as the expression of a state of being or an action performed by the noun or the predicate of a sentence. And we are saying that in the English language, verbs happen to be an essential part of speech. With the Oxford definition, it defines verbs as a word or group of words that express an action or a state of being of the noun or the complement or the adjunct. So basically the question is, what are the categories of verbs that we have? We are going to classify verbs under verbs referring to actions, verbs also referring to experiences or feelings of people. When we are talking about verbs referring to actions, we are saying that these are the verbs that are involved in the movement of one's body in a way or the other. Some examples of the verbs that expresses actions are walk, run, talk, sit, read, write, jog, cough, sleep, jump, etc. For example, when you look at this sentence, she walks the talk. In the sentence, she walks the talk, you realize that the verb there is walks. Remember, the subject is singular, that is she. So it must collocate with the singular verb walks. So she walks the talk. Now, when we are talking about verbs referring to experiences or feelings, we are saying that they are verbs that refer to something you can feel or experience, or do not necessarily involve a movement or things of any kind. Examples of these verbs are, we have love, hate, envy, believe, trust, feel, entrust, cherish, etc. These verbs do not need any movement, but they reveal the experiences of the speaker. Again, we have verbs referring to a state or condition. These verbs are verbs that refer to situations or the state of being, and we refer to them as the be verbs. And some of the examples of these verbs are is, are, was, were, have, has, will, appeal, and etc. For example, she appears a nice person. The subject of the verb is she, singular, which collocates with a singular verb, appears. Now we are coming to look at the various types of verbs with examples. The first one I want us to look at is the auxiliary verbs. When we are talking about the auxiliary verbs, as the name auxiliary suggests, they are the verbs that are used to help another verb or sound sensible and meaningful, meaning that they are verbs that do not stand on their own, but they help other verbs to convey meaning. Some of the examples of the auxiliary verbs are is, are, was, were, have, has, do, will, can. Simply, what we are saying is that one point you have to take care of when you use auxiliary verbs is that you should conjugate the auxiliary verbs as we have in French. Conjuguer le verbe avoir au présent indicatif, or conjuguer le verbe donner au présent indicatif. The same way in English we conjugate verbs. When you are conjugating these auxiliary verbs, the first thing that you need to consider is, one, we have the I, you, he, she, or it. Then we have the we, the you, and they. For example, I eat, you eat, he, she, or it eats, we eat, you eat, they eat. Another example I want us to look at, that is the verb to dance. I dance, you dance, he, she, or it dance. We dance, you dance, they dance. Besides that, we also have the verbs we refer to as the modal auxiliary verbs. The modal simply has to do with expressing or denoting possibility, probability, capability, or necessity of something happening. So when these verbs are used, they express the possibility of something, the probability of something happening, the capability and the necessity of the happening of an action. Some of the examples of these modal auxiliaries are can, having it pass as could. We have will, having it pass as would. We have may, having it pass as might. We have should, must, and ought to. These verbs are referred to as a modal auxiliary because they express capabilities, probabilities, necessities, and expressions of actions performed by the subjects. Then also, what we need to look at when it comes to verbs has to do with what we refer to as the phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs, unlike idioms, they are formed by a combination of two or more parts of speech that performs the same function as the verb in the sentence. In most cases, a phrasal verb results from the combination of a verb and a preposition. Some of the examples of phrasal verbs are go by, come by. For example, you cannot say I go with or I go in car, but you say I go by car. Then we have lay off, we have lock in, we also have get off, we also have run out, to run out, to go all out. Sometimes you go all out for people. It depends on the context of usage. We have think through, fill up, taken aback, back away, act on, back up, look up, and many more. These are referred to as the phrasal verbs because, as the name implies, we have more than one verb combined to form phrasal verbs. But you observe that phrasal verbs have more figurative meanings than the mere verbs in collocation. Having enjoyed the lessons on the different classification of verbs, the last aspect I want us to look at this evening is the linking verbs. As the name implies, when we are saying that linking verbs has to do with a verb type that is used to link the subject in a sentence to other parts of the sentence. And what is the purpose of linking the subject of the sentence with other parts of the sentence? So that it will make the sentence to be meaningful. Again, linking verbs connect the subject to the objects. It connects the subject to the adjective and even a prepositional phrase. In all, we are trying to say that to be forms of verbs and verbs like seem and become can act as linking verbs. Some examples that I want us to look at tonight are 1. Connecting nouns to other nouns in a sentence. Verbs used in connecting nouns to other nouns in a sentence. An example is Danny is my brother. The verb is connects the subject Danny to the complement brother. Again, we have verbs used to connect the subject, as we have seen in the case of Danny and a brother. Then connecting a noun to a prepositional phrase in a sentence. Connecting a noun to a prepositional phrase in a sentence. An example is, the children were in the park. The children were in the park. In this sentence, we realize that the children has or is the plural subject, so it must collocate with the plural marker where. The children were in a park. As we can see, we have where is used to connect the subject, the children, to the prepositional phrase in a park. Then connecting a noun or subject to an adjective. Linking verbs connecting a noun or subject to an adjective. For example, your presentation of the life cycle of the silkworm was excellent. Your presentation of the life cycle of the silkworm was excellent. In the above sentence or in the affirmation sentence, we realize that the verb was is used to link the subject, your presentation of the life cycle of a silkworm, to the adjective excellent. I know you have enjoyed the lesson with me tonight. Watch out Socket TV. Tomorrow we shall continue. So as you are watching this, it is more prudent for you. Enjoy, share as we continue with others. Try, in the case of sharing, tell people, tell a friend to tell a friend that Socket TV has come to stay, giving us the intuitions of English language from what we refer to as the received pronunciation, the RP, that is a British point of view. Enjoy your night. Stay tuned. Subscribe to Socket TV. Be part of us and you will learn all the time. Thank you. Enjoy. And I say, domo arigato gozaimasu, a Japanese word meaning well done. Thank you. Thank you. Ademen.